pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Morgan Township meeting, September 28th, 2020, 7 p.m. Okay, get a roll call, please.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the Morgan Township Board of Trustee minutes dated September 14th, 2020 as written.
Second?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Entertain a motion to approve the warrants.
I'll make a motion to approve the payment listings from 9/15/2020 through 9/28/2020. Payment number 646-2020 through 680-2020.
Second?
Wait a minute. And warrant number 10207 through 10226 for a total of $83,712.83.
Now a second.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Motion approved.
I see there's no one here from the audience tonight, so we'll move. Mr. Galloway.
All right, I'll start with the administrative report. So on the COVID-19 update in your packets, we are still at level 3. Mostly, the majority of the numbers are from Miami University. Chief Griffith and I saw the epidemiology report today, and that's pretty much where the numbers are. However, in your packet, I have added the current governor's directive from the health department on opening restaurant, bars, banquet halls, catering facilities, and services of like businesses. And I know there's been discussion about the community center. I've highlighted a few things I'll outline here. Number 2, businesses and operations shall continue to comply with social distancing requirements as defined in this order, including the continuation of maintaining 6-foot distance for both employees and members of the public when possible, including but not limited to when customers are standing in line. And that's kind of for the food lines. Tables are to be limited to no more than 10 persons. Banquet and catering facilities and services thereof are limited to no more than 300 persons. So Rob and I discussed today the total of the community center, both rooms, is 180. Required face mask, number 4, has face mask requirements for patrons, visitors, and individuals like that. Some of the things, just glancing through this directive that came out on the 24th from the governor. On number 5, the required measures, the 6-foot we already mentioned. Hand sanitizers or sanitizing products readily available to people using the facility. And then on page 4, at the bottom, B, it says customers and guests, when possible, again, ensure 6 feet between parties. When possible, post a list of COVID-19 symptoms in a conspicuous place. That's the 9 ones that we have outlined as well, the coughing and those. The next page again has hand sanitizing methods visible in areas, face coverings. And then there's another one, recommended that you have a separate entrance and an exit door identified. Then the next one down, C, has physical spaces, and it really covers the same thing of the 10 people at a table. Here's one in the kitchen floor, establishing a safe social distancing guideline. Well, the kitchen is so small, I'm not sure we're going to have much of a 6-foot social distancing in that kitchen, whichever front room or back room uses that. We have this covered. Number 3 in C, perform daily cleaning, front and back facilities. We have the machines, both the sanitizer, and then Chief's going to show you the UV machine that's now in service. Cleaning, touching door handles, switches, phones, things of that nature. And then in the back page on 6, go down, and I'm not a big Roman numerals fan, but it's second from the first paragraph of ones, it says, it is recommended if possible HVAC systems receive updated air filtration improvements, or basically changing out filters so often.
Number 17.
And then basically at the bottom, the duration of this is effective 12:01 a.m. of September 24th, remains full force and effective through the Director of Ohio Department of Health. So that kind of takes in, if you take a community center and kind of round that out into a facility where those type of things are held, with the 10-person, and then also no more than a 300-person limit, which again, that just holds 180 total. So I'll leave that directive up to the trustees to discuss if you want to visit now opening that up. Again, like I said, full is, front room is 70, back room is 110. Obviously, there's no way, Rob and I discussed this today, there'd be no way to have multiple parties in there at the same day, because if it's a Saturday, then somebody from the township would have to go down and completely do that room before the next party came in after the fact.
Then we need to do, I guess, one of the signs like we got up here have made for down there as well?
The
And
one
then-
that would be more pertinent, where they're doing the 9 symptomatic symptoms, is what we kind of have and we hand to vendors that come into the station. Have you recently been near somebody that has it? Do you have a cough? Have you have shortness of breath? Have you lost smell and taste? That's the 9 common ones that are by CDC, and we can just laminate that and post that in the door, in the windows of the doors going in there.
And then laminate must-have masks. One on each door.
I mean, in theory, because of the way the community center lays out, we really don't have an exit and entrance door if you're renting both side by sides. They'd have to come, the front room would have to come in and out the front door, the back room would have to come in and out the back door. You can't really.
The front one's got 2 doors. You could do entrance and exit on it. The back one would be the only one that you can't do that.
Yep, that's right, on the other side.
Unless we're only doing one party at a time and then come in the front, go out in the back,
Or go in the back and out the front.
or vice versa.
Yeah.
So when's the next one that you've got tentatively scheduled? You remember?
November 8th. And maybe tomorrow, or well, whenever. I'm gonna call Dan Young tomorrow. I don't know when, it'll be Friday or something.
Friday is what he said.
So what do you guys think? Think if we do all this, we're good to go?
I think so.
I do. So we'll make the signs, make that happen, and then put it at their own risk.
But you still think about limiting just to one venue, the front or the back, to
We've
minimize?
almost always done that.
Okay.
Yeah, we've never.
I
there's
think
not
we
enough
do that.
Parking to do 2 events at the same time, and then we'll just have to make sure we got a day or so between events, so there's enough time to clean the facility.
Now, the other thing with that is the CARES Act money will cover Rob or whoever, us or whoever, goes down and cleans the facility. That is clearly in the guidance. It'll be a nightmare for Connie.
It has to be documented, the time that they spend doing that. Otherwise, I can't do it as CARES Act money.
Right. But that is in the CARES Act, that going down and cleaning a community center or multi-use building like that time spent and the supplies used to do it are covered under CARES Act funding.
Are we doing that now with this building? Segregating that out?
That would be,
For Janice's time?
Not that I'm aware of.
No,
Should we
because
be?
she's not really doing any COVID cleaning because she's not running that machine.
How often do you run the machine up here?
After every meeting, but
You
We're less
probably
than
should be keeping
half
track of
an
your
hour
time then.
tops, so I haven't been marking that out, but I can start doing that if you want me to.
Yeah, I'd say do that, maybe get with Connie and make your own timesheet for this cleaning. We'll just fill out a paper, the date, what building, and how much time and how much chemicals you used at each one, and we'll turn it in for each time. Is that, and then that way Connie has a record, we have a record, in case they come back and wanna see it, it's right there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I've got to have the documentation to prove what we're doing.
Okay.
I don't know, do you guys want to do a motion for that, or just the three of you good with approving it to open it back up, effective tomorrow? Effective, what's tomorrow, the
Did we-
29th?
Did we make a motion to close this, or did we just consider it
I don't think we formally made a motion, we just said we're just following the guidelines of the CDC and the governor, and we're not renting, so I think we can just say we're following
The new guidelines.
Following the guidelines effective September 29th
Yeah.
at 0900 or whatever, it's be back open and used.
Plus, we won't have to get all those signs and all that put up, which I won't think
The
take that
laminated
long,
ones
but-
we can do tomorrow. The ones that go in the windows with the symptoms and all, and the mask, that can be done tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. Next is the, you have in your packet, it says Butler County Development at the top, is the 2021 CDBG Community Grant Program. Desmond, I think Brett sent you a packet, and I got a packet in an email. If you look at page 2, they had their public hearing last week, so the proposal projects are due back to Desmond on November 6th. I included all of the things that are eligible. If you do streets, and I have the actual grant application here. If you do roads, if you consider roads, Rob will have to have an estimate back of the roads he wants 30 days from the engineer's office with the price and the roads of whatever, if that's what that's the project you want, which would
What if we
leave
turn
until
in the same
September 6th.
project we did last year that we didn't,
The culverts.
and that's for that culvert up there on, is that North Wind? Basically, we just have to tweak the numbers, you've got everything for that.
Yeah, so the concern I have with not applying for the grant and the culvert, that's not the concern. The concern I have is last year, City of Hamilton, I believe, got $700 and something thousand, and they got to renovate fire stations and buy new fire trucks. So I'm not sure how that fell into the same category as us going for a culvert and going through all of getting people's signatures in that affected area. And I think that's some warranted questions or something with Desmond about that, because I mean, it says in that first eligibility list, fire protection equipment, fire trucks, protective clothing, things like that. But did Hamilton go to every house in the city to get a signature? I don't think so. So there's some confusion on, when we've had in the past with the culvert down on Church Street, and then this last one that we didn't get, going to specifically getting numbers and folks at that percentage, at 51 or higher percentage. So the culvert we can do and tweak it again, but I almost would like to know what their picking criteria is on how some of the ones that were awarded last year were awarded. They paved all the runways, I think 2 years ago, at Butler County Regional Airport. So I'm curious how that met some of the requirements that's in here. So if you want to go with that project again, that's fine. just have to tell me what you want, and then, like I said, it's already written. We can just tweak the numbers, go out and get some additional folks, but we had the numbers. We had according to Desmond, we had the enough numbers to meet the percentages and all that stuff. It was just not a grant that was picked by the selection committee.
So what's the percentage? I can't, I'm looking for that.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that too. It's in this other packet here.
I guess the only other question would be try to pave like Lehigh, but we'd have to go through and hit all them houses, wouldn't we?
Well, that, again, that's,
You already basically did,
Huh?
kinda did that when you did the last one, cause that's all the
Yeah.
same general area.
here's the
You
two,
could use the same
here's the two
numbers.
things we fill out. It doesn't have the exact percentages other than it has these up here at how many. I'm gonna go through
I'd
some
have to do
more,
Lehigh
but
Road.
that's
I did
the-
North
This is
Wind.
the other one here.
Some at
of that.
129 and all the way down to Lehigh, but I didn't do Lehigh.
I meant the percentage if the project's $100,000,
Oh.
how much does Morgan Township have to, is it 75,
It's like 25, 75. I believe.
2575,
Okay.
but I want to say, didn't on the Church Street, the township put 15 in, or was it the full 25?
We ended up getting it a lot less than the 25. I don't even think we paid on that, did we? Or did we?
We did.
Because it was higher and then it came in lower and they did it less. And I don't think we had to pay near as much.
We didn't, but I'm pretty sure we did pay something.
Tom, it's not in their guidelines. I'm going through the rest of it, and it's not in the guidelines.
Okay.
This is one for me, one for,
No. it's-
No, it was to look at what were the forms we filled out before that had the percentages of the low income.
So do you have to do that again? Go through knocking door to door? Or is-
No,
is what
because
we've got-
Desmond told me last year that we could add the ones from Church Street into the number in the mix, which we did.
and
No,
these
the-
are
the
good
ones we did
for,
up on Lehigh and, what is it, North Weaver?
North Wind.
Yeah.
North Wind.
Yeah. Well, I know Brett did the bulk of it, but I went with him one time and
No, my understanding they're good. They're still good.
for like a couple of years, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think he told me for 10 years.
I was gonna say,
They're
it's
good for
5 or 10 years.
If I remember right, he said they're good for 10 years. Because that's why he said add the ones on Church into it. They're good for 10 years.
Okay.
See, if we did Lehigh Road, I'd have to go down through that area with these. So my thought is we can get that culvert done. If I remember right, it's what, 160 something, 63?
Thought it was
Would-
135.
Was it 135?
You could be right, but I thought it was 135, but
That's
I
what
was thinking
that's-
135 would be their part and we had like 30 or something,
That's-
but
I thought I remembered the 135, but
I had to go back and look. Let's see, that's just.
I've already submitted the paperwork to get the estimates for Lehigh Road.
Paving.
I don't know how quick he can have them, because obviously you gotta have them pretty quick, but
So would it be beneficial to go for two separate as opposed to bundling them together and maybe knocking ourselves out?
we could probably put in for as many as we want.
I'm
There's
thinking
no
if we bundle
restriction.
them and then they say no, where if we put more applications in, we may not get them all, but we may get some, or as opposed to.
I've seen City of Fairfield getting two. One year they got paving, they got like $200,000 or something for paving roads, and then they also got the resurface of the airport runway. They got two. I have seen some entities get two, so. Rob, you would have, if it was paving, you'd have to have it back October 6th to be the 30 days.
I bet I could get that,
Okay.
especially since I've already gave them the numbers and everything, so they've got all of it.
Whatever the trustees
I
want the
say do
direction.
both of them. If we get it, we get it. If worst comes to worst. we do part of it and say we can't afford the other part right now, if that was the case. Or if we can get both, we figure out how we do it.
So the culvert you want to resubmit, and then what do you want to do for paving?
I'd say Lehigh Road.
You wanna do them together, or you wanna do them separate, like
I
Tom
would
was
think
saying?
separately instead of,
I agree. Separate,
I would agree too, give you that
separate.
50-50 chance.
That
of
way you
getting
might get one and maybe not both, but
both.
Either one would come out winners.
right.
exactly.
And one's already written with just some tweaking.
So
And the
that
paving one-
means
the
I'd have
paving
to
one
start
wouldn't-
going down Lehigh Road.
The paving one wouldn't be that hard to do, because it's not as detailed as what the culvert project is, so getting that
Well-
estimate would be a lot easier to put together.
When we were talking about paving, are we doing from Northwind to Chapel? Or was you talking Chapel all the way
Northwind
to?
to Chapel.
Huh?
Northwind to Chapel.
Northwind to Chapel. All right.
So do the signatures, or do we have to get,
I'm gonna have to go back down that road.
I know, but do they have to be in 30 days before, by October 6th? Or
Yeah,
does
the
that have
whole-
to be before November 6th?
November 6th, the whole
November
package,
6th,
the whole
we
package,
gotta-
the
we got a little
grants,
longer
the
on that.
grants and the signatures all go in. And what I did last year is I just took it to Desmond like a week before, so he reviewed it to see where we need any tweaks on it. And he said it fine, that there was no tweaks needed. But yeah, you have to submit all those numbers and the sheets and the whole package by November 6th.
Okay.
And then what was the Lehigh Road from what to what?
Northwind,
Yep,
Chapel.
okay,
That's exactly 1 mile.
okay. Okay. Weren't some ones done on Bell Road a while back? I have the list, I have the stack over there somewhere.
We did that ditching project on Bell Road probably around 2012, 2000.
So all those are within 10 years, so we can encompass those as well. So, per what Desmond told me, so
But I still have to go down through all
I'll
the
get
ones
you,
there.
we'll get an outline of what all we have to do in that affects Lehigh Road with the rest of the forms filled out, but that other one will package up in there. We already have them signed.
All right,
From
well,
Bell, Church, and North Wind, they're already packaged up.
if you want to figure out how many, get me those and I'm not start because you don't get them in a day. There's no way.
Yeah.
You have to hit them multiple times.
Okay.
Well, if you want to pick a day out, I'm sure we're ready, we can help you out when you go down that road.
Yeah, when one start at one end, one start at the other
Yeah.
end, and keep going, because it's, you're gonna miss houses, and you're gonna go back to some of these houses 3 or 4 times before you get them.
So same situation that if we have the project, we got an award on the project, but we can't fund the portion that's on us, we can still, how does that work then? It's like the Church Street, when we discussed not having enough to cover our portion of that. If we didn't have that money, how do you back out of that?
You turn it back to the county.
So no foul, no harm.
You'd turn it back in. I don't know if we would submit one the next year and think that we have a chance if we didn't
Yeah.
make the one and then turned it back. I would think it would be
Well, once we get,
senseless to fill it out another one the next year if we didn't use the one the
Right.
current year.
once we get current or up-to-date estimates on it, then we know how much if it's 25%, we know how much we have to come up with.
Well, I'm gonna guess Lehigh would be about 100,000. Might be a little more, might be a little less. You're looking at least 25,000 us.
I'll clarify our percentage in there tomorrow. I'll call Desmond and clarify that, because I also think that you can put less, it's just the more you put in shows more good faith to the commissioners and the selection committee when you put more into the project.
So it's 135.
Shit, no. 6,
So it'd be about, if it's 135 for culvert and 100 for Lehigh, it'd be about 58,000, 59,000 we'd have to come up with if it's 25%.
How much?
58,000.
About where I was figuring, somewhere in there. Close to 60,000.
Yeah.
Okay,
We could probably do it, but we have to cut.
I'll call
Watch
Desmond.
everything.
I'll try calling Desmond tomorrow, and then I'll email the three of you back what answers I found. So, okay, switching over to the fire chief's report, fire department's report, excluding just the panels around the refrigerator, the kitchen is complete, and trustees want to come over and visit that. It did come out very nice. Phase three, I would like to, if possible, either before the next meeting or one day have like a workshop where all three of us go over there. We have identified some pretty resourceful measures for the phase three part. So the gentleman we just hired, Brian Taylor, we did not, the chief can tell you, we did not solicit to him. He came to us on his second day of orientation, and he's a master electrician. So he is going to terminate all the electric in the three walls we're going to tear out to expand that room back up. And then we'll put light fixtures up in the upstairs office. We just have to purchase the fixtures. He'll do that part of his while he's there during the day with the department. But I just want to give everybody an overview of where that's going. A lot of that, like I said, will be us tearing the walls out, patching the walls, tearing the carpet out, and getting back down to the bare floor. But just so everybody's aware of it, we can either meet before the next meeting over there, 6 to 7, won't be that long, go through there, and just give everybody what the final phase up there is, so everybody knows what's going on. Third is the Branstad and Carroll letter. You have it in your packet. It came in while I was gone. I took a look at it Friday and reviewed a little bit more today of it. So the day after the meeting, our last meeting, I got a call from Mike Carroll, said that the letter will be there, so I did not call Jack Grove until I wanted to receive what the letter addressed. I read the letter, I've looked at it a couple of times. Basically, they're not going to accept blame on anything. Basically, the way I read into it is they're going to make us prove each an individual issue that we brought up, make us prove the facts that we have. I do in the storm shelter, do have the adjudication letters back from 19 on that. That would be evidence for us. Same with the water line, that goes back from the not how I pronounce this, the FEMA, it's either ISS or ICC guidance for storm shelters that was been way in there for years. And again, the letters all the way back from from the county. The last one, which again we've discussed this when I think when Tom and Jeff sat in on the meeting with them about the parking lot. The storm drain was never their fault. They basically blamed the engineer's office for faulty surveying. So, which I find that hard to believe because they survey roads and bridges every day. So I'll let you review it. You can get back with me or we can discuss it in the next meeting, the points, and then figure out where we want to go next.
Could the county's survey be revalidated for part of our defense on that one?
Rob, that's a survey, that's an engineer's office question on that one. Rob?
I'm just gonna go out and say that the county engineers surveyed, gave them the elevations of all the catch basins, both invert and evert or whatever it was they call it, actually down in the culvert and at the top elevations. They gave them all the elevations, they was there.
I think the engineering office needs to speak for themselves on the accuracy of their survey. That's definitely in their ballpark, and that we can't speak on their behalf, but I think I trust their accuracy over a construction company that are not surveyors.
Well, the same surveyor, the same elevations were done for all three of the bids, the original one, because the original ones, when it came up that water's not gonna flow uphill, and they had it already planned, and the elevations were there. So, again, they're basically saying the engineer's office is the one that gave bad survey to them.
I mean, you can have the county come in, but, I mean, you also remember that the county did that free of charge. We didn't pay them anything. So if we go dragging them into this, having them, even though it is someone's
Yeah.
crying foul on what they did, I mean, they may balk about doing something for free for us again, so. I don't know if that's
Well,
a valid thing or not, but
I would think
my thing is I feel that the engineer's office gave them the numbers. They should, and on the first bid, there was contractors saying you can't make water go uphill, so it was obvious that there was a flaw there. Why didn't they change it then? Why did they wait till we was the end of the project before they changed? That's my argument. Why didn't you guys do something after the first bid failed, and there was contractors saying you can't run water uphill? Well, okay, let's tell us that we got to resurvey or something and redo it instead of just letting it ride for 2 more bids, and then it still being wrong after the 3rd bid. That's my argument to the case.
Yep.
I don't think the engineers was wrong. I think they were right.
And the water line of 2 inches, I can tell you for a fact, we never told the engineers that was their responsibility to go through the building. And Rob, you and I were there the day they opened that trap door up in the men's bathroom, discovered it wasn't 2 inch, and they were like shocked. So I don't know where they're coming off. So I think from what this is, the step-by-step ones is they're making us come back having us.
They want to
proof.
see if we have any proof.
They want to see us if we have the proof.
It's the typical response.
See if we have the proof.
Documents on everything we're challenging, so.
Which I have
That's
I
fine.
have the proof on the adjudication letters and all that to move forward on that, so.
And this doesn't surprise me because an architect is never going to admit he's wrong. You're going to have to prove him wrong. He is not going to just first letter go and sign it, so.
So I have a lot of the documentation already packaged up. I'll package it up and move forward on going back. But I agree on Rob. I think those elevations and all were on the first original plans. The first plans that came in at $1.8 million or whatever, they were the same numbers that they were on the 3rd set of plans. The elevations didn't change from the engineer's office. You know, the numbers were always there. And I think we have some documentation on that too, Rob, if I'm not mistaken, what they were, so.
So have they submitted the final invoice for $10,800?
They have not. They have not.
Do you think we should get Jack involved moving forward? Because I think
I
that's
do.
a very
I think
wise
so too,
choice.
because we have the documentation.
And we were going under his direction to follow, their error, to fall back on, after the project was complete, for their error and emission insurance that they have. And if we present the documentation to him, and I think maybe let him respond back to this letter, highlighting our documentation or what we have to combat each one of these 5,
Arguments?
yeah.
I agree.
And
I
then
agree.
it may cost us some money, but we got $40,000 on the line.
Well, when do you want to bring him into it? That's kind of the question. You want to respond with the documentation and then see what the next shoe to fall and then bring him, or?
No, I think we're playing our hand then. We're showing them what we got. And I think we need to have our legal counsel submit that.
Yeah, I think right now is when we bring him in, because if we do something wrong, we're not gonna get it back. Jack knows how to do that, what to do it, how to present it. We don't.
I think it'd save a step too. I present it and they're like, okay, you know, but the lawyer presents it the next shot, then it means that the township means business by having our legal counsel taking the evidence that we have and bringing it back to them, so.
It doesn't sound like he's gonna have to put a lot of time in on this, if he's just gonna represent us with your facts.
Yep.
So maybe
Yep.
it's gonna be a
I'll
cheaper.
package that all up in what I've got, because believe me, I've saved all of it. And there was a lot that it is just there with dates, back middle of 19. So, I mean, I think this is just like you said, just a standard letter to say, okay, you prove your points. And like Rob says, architects are never wrong, and I've heard that saying before. So, okay, I will move forward with that. Next, you'll have a letter in there, just a letter from Captain Fawns, but it went to Refits Towing. So this month of September, with COVID, we've kind of redone our training. So Refits has donated several junk cars out back, in each shift, 6 actually to be exact. So each shift has had a training car back there to cut up and do extrication. So this is just a copy to the trustees on a thank you letter sending to Refits Towing for the vehicles.
Hey, Chief, how long are you gonna keep that school bus back there?
Well, we were going to use it for training in May, and then we canceled that with Daryl that came last year. We were going to use it in May because of COVID. We canceled the training. We were going to do it in November, and the schedules didn't meet. So now we're planning on doing the heavy extrication bus training this following spring, probably May.
Yeah, are you gonna hold on to the bus, or will it eventually go away?
Well, once we tear it up and all, it goes back to Ross School Districts, and they get the scrap money for it.
Should I send him a letter right now then?
Yeah, you might wanna get on that.
Get on that.
So yeah, they loan them to us to cut, and then we give them back to them, and they go scrap them for money.
Yeah.
So,
Alright.
yep. The only other thing that I don't, Chief Griffith's going to go over some of the things that both we bought and what we're looking for with some additional COVID money, which is in your packets. And I believe that is all I have for tonight for me, unless there's questions directly from me before Chief Griffiths goes.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you. Chief Griffith.
Okay, number one, as you saw as you came in, the new scanner for temperatures here, I have it set currently for requiring a mask, just as a visual warning. I can take that off at any time. You just go behind and program it. So its default temperature is 100 degrees. It'll say no entry.
And it worked.
Being that 100,
Yeah, Connie found out.
being that 100.4 is the break for no admittance, I set it at 100. I can set it to whatever. Just with a keyboard, you plug it in, but it's there, it's working. Everybody tested it. So if there's any questions about it, it's in use.
I didn't see anything in the guidelines that the governor put out last Wednesday about taking temperatures upon entry anymore. So, or is that something we're going to require at the community center? I don't feel comfortable leaving that piece of equipment down at the community center
No.
unattended. So I don't know.
I didn't see anything in it that required
I didn't
temperatures
either.
upon
I just
entry
looked.
I
for
didn't.
that. Some places are going above and beyond, asking that for other things. I went somewhere and they wanted to take my temperature. Oh, I know where I went. I went to REI. And they were still taking temperatures and limiting the number of people to get in the store.
The health flags still,
It's just strange.
Takes
But no, there's no requirement in that, they had that down there. But that is working, and it says its most basic level. And
Flying out, Delta did not take temperatures. Flying home, American Airlines did at each entrance to the plane. So, but if that goes down there, I think you're going to have a couple kids horsing around.
Knock
the thing
it
goes
down.
flying, busting, and it's just that is a good tool here for people entering in to meet with Dale, with Connie. It'll it'll set the alarm off when they're over the 100.4, even though they may say, you know, you can always answer no to questions that you really know their yeses to, but that thing will automatically alarm and flag them if that temperature is over. And again, like AC said, CDC still goes as one of the symptoms is temperatures, so.
So that's there if there's any questions. If we need to tweak it temperature-wise, I know how to program it, so. The ventilators did arrive. They got in and they arrived, so we don't have to worry about the money being held up because no ventilators. Those came the next day. So that training's ongoing. Lieutenant Browning and Lieutenant Galloway are getting that together. We'll put those into service as soon as that training is completed for every person because EMT bases can set it up. They just can't transport with it, so it'll go through the whole department. The UV lights in use. And Tom, you brought up a good point. So I did test it with the squad, and when you unplug the shoreline, it does go off. But we're doing it in buildings all over, and we did it in the bedrooms and everywhere on Fridays. Every bedroom gets it. So I bought a couple set of UV glasses, so if they had to emergently enter the room, I don't know why, but I have glasses now. I also have signage that is magnetic. They put on the doors and also on the squad. It's basically just what you see here. It can hang this way, or in the squad we hang it upside down. It has an exposure time and then a delay time so people can get out, and it's set for 4 minutes. So once they hit the green button, they have 4 minutes to get out wherever they're doing it and close the doors. And then it runs its cycle. We're doing it in the squads, both with the cot in, then we take the cot out and run it again. So, and it's very interesting when you do it, and after you open the doors, there's a smell. That's saying things are, you know, we've killed things in it. You can actually smell it. So we let it ventilate out for another 10 minutes, and it's fine. We also do the cabs of the fire truck with it, and we're also going to do the cabs of the squad. So it's already been put in use for those people who have already been trained, but not everybody's been trained yet because we just got it. So it's here.
Does it have any effect on certain types of material like leather? Will it break it down? Or?
No, this won't hurt anything. We actually also, as part of the policy I'm writing, is we take all the bags out of the compartments and put them in the squad and run it over those too, because you got to think, you know, contact's been in a room, been in a house, so it has no degradation of anything on it. So it's working, and we can also, if we wanted to, and we got in a pinch for N95 masks, you can hang them from here, and it'll take care of the mask too. So. It's an expensive piece of technology, but it's been around a long time, and everybody's really happy with it so far.
Ross called me today to order 2 of them.
Yeah. And you put things out on Facebook, people know. So now Ross. But anyway, any questions on that?
No.
Okay. The last thing I have is also a COVID expenditure. I attended online the OPT COVID summit on Friday, and they had a lawyer that they hired, the Ohio Township Association, who gave guidelines on what's allowable and what's not. And basically, you know, he gave the advice, Connie, correct me if I'm wrong, that if you buy something, you have to draw a direct line that's because of COVID. So in the absence of is his fancy term, it's because of. So this is one of these things that I believe will meet the qualifications. So we are required to carry ID since COVID. You know, for 2 reasons. 1, to gain access in hospitals, and also 2, in case there's any restriction of travel. Our current ID maker is still running on Windows XP, which is 3 versions ago. We would like to purchase a new system. It can be used for you all's IDs. It's much more configurable. It can be used for road department, but it also can be used for ours. And you can put verbiage in it. This is an essential personnel. So I'm after a authorization to buy this ID maker, dual-sided, includes the software, the machine, and a 4-year warranty. I was able to get a discount of $371.88, but the total would be $2,773.61 out of Fund 2272, out of the COVID expense.
So it is the COVID?
Yes, it'd be COVID because we never had to worry about IDs till COVID, because you had to have it to get in the hospital. And then there was also
it takes your picture
and everything,
photo
both
ID.
two-sided IDs, picture, any credentials you wish, any seal you wish. If you want, you make you all of them, or we always wanted to get the BZA and the zoning, we can make theirs. It has a high-resolution camera. We could use it for many uses. But for us, for the fire department, it's definitely we never even thought about IDs until COVID came along, and the possibility of restricted travel with essential personnel only, or also identifying essential personnel.
I thought we had IDs. Didn't we talk about IDs?
We
about
do.
a year ago?
The machine is dying. We got it free from another department, and it runs on XP, Windows XP, which is 3 generations ago, and we just can't make IDs anymore.
The machine is ancient, and we're using
The
an
printer's
old,
ancient, and the software is
an old
ancient.
tablet that's trying to run the program, and it's.
But now we can put this on any laptop or any computer, hook it up. We have a laptop. We can just put the software on
Plus,
that.
we're gonna use the COVID money that if we don't use it, we have to give it back.
Yeah, this is
So moved.
a clear, in my opinion, from what they said.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, that's all I have unless you have anything of me.
Alright, Mr. Brown.
Just a couple of things here, 6 of them to be exact, is we'll be doing we have been doing road repair work on State Line Road and Bay Road. We're gonna be back on Bay tomorrow. Today we did a driveway culvert on South Dwyer Road that needed to be replaced. And we've been mowing roadsides on Lehigh Road, Morgan Ross, North Wind. As farmers get their crops out, we're gonna do more. That way we can mow where past the edge of the crops and stuff, so it makes it look nicer for going into wintertime here. This is something that I did on my own. Chief Galloway was out of town, and we was mowing and was having to mow around all the downspouts along the west side of the property, and I've got a total of $200 invested in putting those downspouts in as far as material. I rented a mini hose so I didn't tear up as much ground, and made a smaller trench than what I would have with our big backhoe. That was only $100 for the couple hours that we had it. Anyway, got those put in, makes it going to look a whole lot nicer once everything settles in and we get the grass growing back. But one of the reasons why I did it now is it was perfectly dry. That's always lays real wet over there because of all the water that just runs out on the surface of the ground. So hopefully that'll help make that all better to mow come springtime.
No standing water today, Rob, after the rain.
No
Thank you.
standing water today.
No, sir. No, thank you.
Any case, like I said, I did that on my own. I was not asked to do that. I just went and did that on my own because I felt it was the right thing to do, and it was under $500. So, also had to take the arm mower out the southeastern equipment. We had some problems where you'd raise the boom up and be up in the trees, and it would slowly start going down. And actually, it was quickly going down. It couldn't hardly do anything without it always going down, and then it started wanting to move forward and reverse. So we took it up there. They did some work on it. They had a hose line that blew out on them while they had it up there. They fixed it, fixed a couple other things on it. Thought maybe we might have had it, but they really couldn't get it to do what we had said. They said, but if it is doing it, they had an idea of a valve that it possibly could be. We got the machine back here, used it exactly 20 minutes, and it started doing the same thing over again. So they went and ordered a valve body to put on that, and they're supposed to be getting me the price on all that and what it'll cost for them to come out here and put that valve. And when I mean valve, I don't know how big a valve body it is, but it's a top part of the controls, because everything's used off electric switches on this because it's got a joystick. Our old one had just cable run controls. Well, this one here is just a joystick to use the electric switches, and they're thinking it might be either the actual valve body itself or one of those switches up top. But they put a tester to all the switches, and I think all the switches are working, so that's why they're going to go with the valve body. So
Who did that work?
Southeastern Equipment.
Where are they located? Did you,
Monroe,
Oh,
Monroe, Ohio. And with that being said, is I had to haul the machine up there. So the county engineer's office brought their drag out here. They had to drop a piece of machinery off out here. When they dropped that off, they got our machine, they took it to Monroe for us. And then the next week, when they said it was ready to come get it so we could try to use it to get it to do it again, the county went out, picked it up and brought it back for us. So we did not have to pay for a hauling fee. And if I'd have had to have a local contractor, which I'd got a price from them of $300 each way, I'd have had $600 in hauling a machine to Monroe. So they saved me $600, the county did. So,
but it's, when is it going back up?
well, it's not gonna go back up. They're gonna come here and fix it versus having to haul the machine up there.
Is that because we've had it up there one time before?
Because we've had it up there and they have a general idea of what's wrong, so they're gonna come with the piece, they know what to look for, and that's what they're gonna try to fix while they're here. That'll be a lot cheaper to pay because you gotta pay their drive time from Monroe to here, plus whatever time they work on it here and their drive time back. And that's what I was trying to keep from doing, is try to keep as cheap as possible, but that's where the county helped me out quite a bit, because the only other option was drive it all the way up there, and I didn't want to drive it clear to Monroe, so
You'd still be driving.
that'd have been a long drive. So that's where we stand with that. On the Gale Lear project at Lehigh and Chapel, there was a whole lot of questions that Gale had that we was not able to answer, and the county themselves are not able to answer those questions at this time. So they're going to have to do some surveying and redesigning and stuff to answer those questions and to come up with what. So it doesn't look like that project's going to go this fall like we thought it would. At least not right now it does. Maybe they can still pull some magic and make it happen, but the county is taking care of all that and speaking with Gale on what's needed to be done at that project there at Chapel Road in Lehigh, and trying to fix that along that roadway where the road's given way. And then just a little note is, usually every year in the 1st of November, we usually have a snowplow rodeo and a county ice and control training class. The county is not doing that this year because of the COVID stuff, so we just I've got some videos that we can watch. It's kind of basically what we watch at the county, but they're a little bit different. That way we can say that we did our yearly training of snow and ice control, and then we might even set up a little obstacle course here at the shop and do ourselves with the trucks and stuff, just so we can say that we did our annual snowplow training. So, but just letting you know about that, and I believe that's it, unless anybody else has anything.
I'm gonna touch on something, because we were talking about the Butler County developments. I had mentioned to Rob, and he looked in on a price. They're like stoplights that two mobile ones that you would put, like when they do road work. You put one here, you put one down here. You don't need flaggers anymore. They consign with each other. They're about $22,000 a piece, if I remember right. Is that what you told me?
Correct.
A set or
does-
each?
Huh?
You need two of them, right? One
Yeah,
per
you
foot.
need two
So
of
it's
them.
44,000?
It's $44,000. But you don't need flaggers no more. You can put one at the beginning, one down here, and you come to like an actual stop sign or stop light, and it lets this traffic go, and then it lets that traffic go. Is it Butler rule, or which one of them does the safety grants?
Butler
Rule.
Butler rule.
Their maximum is about
$4,000
$4,000 to $5,000 is their
I was
max.
gonna ask on that. Other question, with this one here, if you go back to page 5, where the operating and maintenance expense, do you think that would fall under there? Because we're gonna lose a guy next year. That puts us down one more that we're not gonna hire back. you add two guys that we're paying $8 or not, $13 an hour to flag for, when you work out there on the road, 6 hours roughly in a day. Over time, that's gonna pay back. Plus, these are so much more safe. I don't know how many times I've come up on flaggers and they don't know what the other one's doing. And I'm sure you've all seen it.
Well, it's
But if
safer
we could get
because you
some
don't have
kind
a
of
human
grant.
being standing out in traffic either.
Exactly. But, you know, we're gonna have Rob and Mark now. If they had this, they could still go do work on the road themselves without someone else. Am I right?
Did Riley say that they had some of those?
These here?
No,
Did we,
the-
did we,
No.
did we talk to them up there at Hanover about that?
Yeah, I talked to them. The state had them on Route 130 that day, and I was talking about it and told them about it. I thought, that's awesome.
Well, you know,
State
that,
used them down here on 126 too when they
The
were.
safety is unreal.
The state's got a set of those, and Butler Rural Electric also has a set of those. Butler Rural Electric started using them because they had so much, they used AA Safety, would send 2 flaggers out to flag for them just for traffic control when they was doing work out on the road, so.
Well, what about the possibility of partnering with other townships to buy, since the pricing is astronomical?
The only problem with that is you're both gonna need them on the same days and the same time because of weather.
you could, you know, you
I mean,
could.
a lot of times you're gonna do that.
I
but
mean, how often do you flag, Rob? How often do you,
It just,
once, twice a month, or what?
well, like tomorrow, we're gonna have to be flagging, even though we're not gonna be in a very busy road. Bay Road doesn't have very many cars on it, but we still gotta have somebody,
It only takes one.
we're, especially being on, we're gonna be on a curve, so we're gonna have 2 people flagging tomorrow. One's gonna be around one side of the curve with two-way radio, and the other one's around the other side, so.
You're looking at, for just 2 people, in one day, it's $208. Every time you got a flagger. And that's at our $13 an hour cost. If you start putting someone else that's hourly that costs more, it's gonna go up. And if you did, we'll say once, if you used it once a week, 552, you're looking at $10,816 in a year. That's just once a week, every week for a year.
Hey, Brett,
But you probably won't use them quite that much.
page 5
Yeah?
is all ineligible stuff.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, sorry to,
I'm trying to find a way.
sorry.
We could still,
That whole
But if
page
we don't
is
find another
ineligible.
you could
safety
still,
grant.
you could still partner.
I mean,
That's still out there.
Yes?
But of course, we're gonna have to come up with our share, though. But it could be a problem.
I'm just trying to find a way to.
I mean,
If we could get one other township to buy one and we buy one, then we're only out 22,000. Each township's only out 22, just, you always gotta go get one to do what you're gonna do. You gotta go get one from them and they gotta come get one from you to do theirs. That's the only bad thing about that.
And they gotta
but
be synced, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct.
yeah.
So,
Do they rent those?
AA Safety is the only one I know of that, because they're the ones that sell them that I know of. I could ask and see.
Rob, is there any kind of association group or anything of all the road supervisors in the county that like meet on a annual, monthly basis?
We have talked about that, a bunch of us superintendents, about getting together. And it never has materialized, so.
That seems like that would be something at a meeting. I mean, like the training officers meet every month, the fire chiefs, and I mean, that just seems like that'd be a good input to.
Because actually myself and Todd Daniels of Madison Township have talked about that several different times, but it's just getting it going.
Yep.
No, I looked into that and seen the price kind of backed off, but if there's any way we could knock that price and try to get it.
Yeah, usually the Butler Rule, I haven't seen them give more than about 4,000. They're usually in that 2,000, 1,800, 2,200, and they'll max, I think in their rules, they'll max to 5,000, but I don't think I've ever seen an award at 5,000.
Anything else on the signs?
All right, that's all I had on that. Rob, are you done then?
I'm done.
Got one question. The ditch behind Judy's house down in Okeana, where are we with that? Has this county?
Waiting
come
on the
back to us?
county to come in. They said they're gonna do it, but they have not given me a time frame. They just said later this year, so hopefully sometime here in October, they get to us before the snow starts flying. Cause the snow gnome told me today that we're gonna get hammered with snow this winter, so.
The snow? No?
Gnome.
Is that the Farmer's Almanac?
Maybe.
How do you know, what's the forecast for snow? I mean, you need to share.
Well, that's
It
why
is Farmer's Almanac they come out with that.
they're saying
he's
that
got an
it
inside
could be
source.
above normal precipitation and below normal temperatures, which in my book, that equals snow,
Oh,
so,
all right.
Or ice.
or ice.
All right.
All right,
So, and
thanks,
they're
Russ.
saying that's December through February, so,
All right. Before the end of the year then,
yes.
we'll look for it. Thanks,
Okay.
Rob.
Mr. Marshall.
All righty then, we will begin with violation statuses. You have your beautiful paper here. Chief, you didn't get to see this revised a little bit. but look-
And I see the thing at the bottom of the matrix, what the colors are.
Yep,
Yep,
I felt that would help.
yep.
Nothing really in the blue, I'm still working on those. The greens are the ones that are in progress. Today, I did a letter to RFI. I found out the owner of RFI. This is for the MGB that's in front of 6139 Cincinnati Brookville that has sat out there for 20 years. He actually has a Indiana address for his home, so I've not only sent it to the business, I've sent one letter, or will be sending one letter to his home, which is over in Cedar Grove off of State Route 252. So, then I've added, there's an inoperable vehicle at 5309 Lehigh. This is right on the corner of Lehigh and Bell by the detached garage. It is a blue vehicle that looks like it's been in the world's worst accident, or else it was a training vehicle for the fire department. So, and it's still there. I received from my zoning commission, and I'll talk about the zoning commission meeting, when we broke, they gave me a number of people who might possibly be living in campers around the area. And everything else too, but in following up on some of that, I found 3 vehicles on Buell Road that are outside of a barn that are quite looking inoperable. One is a white Pontiac G6 or 8. Another one is a blue Ford truck, and then there's an RV involved in that one. The other one too is inoperable vehicles at 4786 Alert, New London. There are 3 or 4 vehicles in the cover there by brush. I would have been able to show you these on there, but when we did my new computer, we failed to put on the Click software and making it work. And I tried this past week to get it to work by installing it myself, and I can't for some reason. I mean, it's a new version of the software, the Click software and everything else, and I can't seem to make it register for I think we had to put it on, I had to be on the guest network or the land side of that. And when I even did that, I still couldn't get it to work. And so
We can try it after the meeting if you
we'll
want.
try it after the meeting, okay? Moving to the big one. This Thursday, I have been subpoenaed for the trial of Miss Carlene McCoven. As I think I told you last time, I had asked the prosecutor to dismiss the case. He said he would do that, but he would also be charging her $125 court cost. And I said, fine, as long as it's not us being charged, you know. She refused to pay the court cost, thus a trial. Okay, so this Thursday at 2:30, I'll be traveling to Oxford to testify at the trial. Okay?
Wait a minute, the judge dismissed the case?
No, I asked the prosecutor to dismiss it.
Oh, yeah, he did not dismiss
He
it?
did not dismiss it. He said, he gave her the option
Okay, all
of
right.
having it dismissed and pay $125 or
Go to court.
go to trial.
Okay.
And she chose trial because she feels like she hasn't done anything.
I got it.
At least that's what the prosecutor told me.
So why were we dismissing if we went that?
Because they had complied to everything, okay, that I had been asking. All the junk cars that I'd been requesting to be removed were removed. And I felt compliance was there, okay?
But you had to take her to court before they did it.
Yeah, yeah. But the prosecutor seems like, it feels like we've got a good case going in regardless, okay? Then if you look down in the orange section, things that I'm investigating, the two biggies are living in RVs, one on Cincinnati Brookville. If you've noticed, just as you round the curve from North Fork, there's a little house that's been painted yellow and red in the front. You miss it if you don't look for it, because you drive right by it. It's right in the curve, right after the curve, as you're going east on Cincinnati Brookville. There's two RVs sitting in the back. I think it was AC who shot me onto this, right? These two. And it is pretty definite because I drove by the other day on Cincinnati Brookville and I saw a door opening in one of them. You can't see them from the road. You have to be on Scott Avenue to see them. And I've got pictures of that. And then the one on Buell, it's out where you can actually see it. It's got hookups and everything. My question on that, and as I asked AC, was what if these are COVID quarantines before I make any move on action? You know what I'm saying? Because they could have been put to quarantine and with us not necessarily know about it and could be living in the things for that reason. Your opinion on that, Chief, what do you think?
So in the beginning, we were given the addresses of COVID positive folks by the health department. Since then, they're going back to a law that from the governor's office that only allows the health department to tell dispatch, and then if we go to that flagged address, then they'll tell us en route that that's a no. And so if these two specifics are, I can try and find out if they are, because we just got in that epidemiology report, we got how many COVIDs are currently in the township. And there's 18 of them. So it's possible that that could be. So I'll attempt to get these two addresses and see if they are positives, and then without any other HIPAA violations.
The one on Cincinnati Brookville, I think is probably they're living in them because they're renovating the house, but then they've not come to me to get any kind of certificate either, but still, I don't know.
I think you still would contact them and let them give that
Yeah,
as
there's-
a reason.
Right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask them to contact
Because
me and give me
if they've been
specific
ordered to
reason.
quarantine, they should have some kind of proof of an order from
Right.
the health department.
And that's why they're in the brown, in the orange section, is I'm still investigating. I wanna know going in that, you know, we're not gonna be touching toes and making people angry in the process. One success this week, and I'll let you pass this around. 7390 Cincinnati Brookville Road
Oh, yeah.
at California. Finally, this past week, the grass got cut. Let's see, what other one was there that was there? The McDuffies, I think you've seen down on Cincinnati Brookville Road in Shandon, their yard is looking good. That's the one across from the little yellow house there too as well. And everything too. So that's all I have for the certificate, for the violations. Any questions on that?
No?
Some of the dates might be a little blurred. I do have some more planned for this week in the blue section, or in the green section. As you can see, I sent out those last week to Buell Road and to Alert New London. Miss Maggart's went out before. The car's still there. That's 20 days, so somewhere in next week, I will be sending the second letter and everything else too. All right, second thing, the certificates issued for this period of time. I did put in there that I think I even left it out there, but wholesale tire, I did that just to let you know. We are still waiting on, and I believe I sent something to Captain Fonz on the suppression system changes that will be made in order for the fire department to sign off on or verbally say okay. And I await those. Otherwise, I'm holding the certificate. But we have new construction on Straden. This is a 5-acre plot. They're building a 4-bedroom, single-family home. Then just last week, I did an accessory. I received this week, or yes, just today, a solar array to go over onto South Dwyer. Problem there, the prints that they showed me and where they're placing it on the property is too close to the back, the rear yard setback, and I'm having them check to see if they can make 50 feet for the rear setback on that accessory structure. Just to let you know, the zoning commission considers a solar array an accessory structure and must meet the requirements thereof. Okay, setbacks for that. If it were a lesser property in size, that would be different probably, but that's that. On the 16th of this month, we had our first meeting, our second meeting of the year for the zoning meeting. We are in discussion and reworking the zoning in Shandon. That's our biggest piece right there. And everything else, I thought we were going to be able to move that on over to the Butler County Planning Commission, but Zeb Edcuff asked me if I would hold that back because it is such a big project and a big change and he has a major thing going on with the Butler Rural revision that they're working on. So we will continue working. And our next meeting with the zoning is October the 28th. We made it that way because we thought we would make it a public meeting, but it will since not be a public meeting. And other than that, that's all I've had. That's all I have.
Thanks, Dale.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Reinhardt?
Okay, I need approval for a then and now PO to Corporate Payment Systems for the bill from Blinds, et cetera. We originally had a PO to Blinds, et cetera, but when he finished that day, he wanted payment that day, and he would accept a credit card. So we put it on a credit card. So the amount is $1,930 with a now date of 9/23/20 and a then date of 7/14/20.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Motion approved. Approve a then and now PO to Corporate Payment Systems for the bunk room TVs for $1,499.99 with a now date of 9/23/20 and a then date of 8/20/20, 8/20/2020. The Morgan Township Volunteer Fire Department Association has already reimbursed the township for this expense. They paid for the TVs.
So moved.
Second. Thanks, Chief.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Motion approved.
I didn't know you were heading down that road for the volunteer fire department.
Association.
group handle that
They
expense.
actually paid for several expenses over there that doesn't warrant coming out of my budget. So, yeah, they pay for the 2 pantry closets in the kitchen. They pay for quite a bit of stuff over
Yeah,
there. Yep.
good
Yep.
work, thank you.
All right, someone approached me last week with the question of whether Morgan Township really needs a township administrator, and couldn't those funds to pay the administrator be put to better use somewhere else? I explained to them that Chief Galloway was not receiving any extra salary for being the township administrator, so I just want that on the record, because they seem to feel that the residents of the township needed to know that, because everyone's under the impression he's being paid the same way that the former township administrator was. I've given you a copy of the CARES Act questions from the Ohio Township Association from the webinar that Assistant Chief Griffith and I attended on Friday the 18th. Good questions and answers about what the money can and can't be used for. So I just went ahead and printed a copy for each one of you.
Thank you.
AC, I think I emailed a copy to you. Oh, you probably already received it. Okay, and I've given it to Chief also. I've also given you a copy of the September issue of the Morgan Township Historical Society newsletter. This is just for your information. I feel that there are several inaccurate statements in this letter, and I wanted you to, in case you had not seen it, you had the opportunity to look at it and see if anything needs to be addressed or resolved with that.
We talked about that, because when I received it, I saw some things that were
Right.
not accurate, and talked with Brett, and if we open the meeting up, I'd like to set up a meeting with the Historical Society, if they will come. I talked with Neil Westridge, and he did show an interest in wanting to come in and talk with us. I don't know if the whole board will show up or if it'll be just him, but I'd like to at least give the invitation to have them come, whether it be at a meeting or a work session. But I think there are some things that need to be discussed as far as, yes, we are, having financial issues, but we are not doing things that are not, or we're not doing things that we agreed to in the contract. And I think we just need to go over that. So I did talk with Neil, and if the board feels that it warrants a workshop meeting or actual attendance at a board meeting, I'd like to extend that invitation to the Historical Society. And I don't want any, if they got issues, I'd like to hear them, and as opposed to them going out and saying things to the public that may or may not be true. Because I think that's, the newsletter kind of hits on that. That there's some things that, maybe it was a misunderstanding, but the way it was, presented, it's not accurate. So, were you thinking about maybe a workshop meeting with them?
I think that'd be an excellent idea to just hear everybody's thoughts at the same time and iron everything out.
Okay.
What do you
Talk
think
to
we
him.
need, like an hour? Half an hour, an hour?
I'd say at least 45 minutes.
Yeah, I would say an hour, and if they don't need it, then that's fine, but I don't want to cut anybody short if they got some issues, and we say, well, we're out of time.
You wanna try to do it 6 o'clock for the next meeting?
But he already said he'd like to have the next meeting 6 to 7.
Or if the three want to visit individually, and then we can discuss it at the next meeting to save that workshop for them. That's up to you guys too. Let's come over and we can walk through each trustee individually. We can go there tonight. It wouldn't take 15 minutes.
Well, let me meet with Neil and see what their availability is, if they want to meet as the whole board.
Or if he just wants to come,
Because in theory, AC, myself, most of us won't be here, that you can get the rest of them in the room and still meet all the, requirements, that you can meet as many people as they want here.
or if Neil just wants to come
I think they had 5 the last time they came.
Yeah.
It's in that ballpark, I don't remember exactly. It was 2 women.
Carol.
Let me call him.
1, 2, 3.
See if
I
we
think it
can
was
set
5,
something up.
wasn't it?
At least.
Well, Jill won't come. She won't attend, but the other members will. She's still concerned about being out.
We'll see if maybe this meeting or the next meeting or the one after. If Jeff wants the one next meeting, we'll do that then. And the second meeting in October, we'll try to get with them if that'll work.
I don't think there's any rush.
Yeah,
I don't think
there's
there's
any
gonna,
rush either.
planning on anything before
They're
spring.
They're not. They canceled all activities through the rest of this calendar year, and they don't usually have things in January, February, and March anyway because of weather.
Well, why don't we just try the second one, see if,
All right.
we'll leave that open for Jeff. You guys good with
Yeah,
that?
that's good.
That work? Jeff?
It works for me.
Okay.
Okay, the last thing I would like to request, executive session for personal matters to consider the appointment and employment of a public employee or official.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Mr. Cole?
2 weeks ago, we brought forward an idea concerning the walking trail in the back. And Chief, you weren't here, so I'm glad you got to bring you up to speed on what we were talking about. And I know about 2 years ago, you and Tom had talked about the opportunity to do something back there. So being up at Hanover gave me some insight into what the possibilities were. And I've been thinking about it since we brought it up last time, and did a little background research and tried to see how we would want to go and what direction and what would be the steps and where the money is and a lot of things like that. So I just wanted to keep the discussion alive and bring a little bit to the board each time that something significant happens or we turn a corner on the plan. So what I'd first like to cover is, and this might take a few minutes, but the steps that we would go through to do something like this, and they basically be a 3-step long-term operation. One would be a planning, second would be an organizing, and then a third would be a coordination phase. So I'm just going to hit each one of those phases: planning, organizing, and coordinating, and that's just getting out of the gate really on the right foot, because that's going to be the most important thing, is the first step that we make, and that's going to be obviously. I think the board is positive on the idea of creating for something like this for the township. It surpasses us. It will outlive us if we create this. It's a big positive for future families that are moving into the area, both old and young, and it's going to grow as we worked on the firehouse to look at a 5-year, 10-year, 20-year plan to have a firehouse being able to support the people in the township. I feel that this is something it's not as important as the fire department, but it's something that could add a lot of the quality of life to something that we would want to see in those years after we're gone. So on the planning, I think the planning has to be started off with our 5-year master plan in the township. So I don't know if we've ever even incorporated the thought officially into our master plan, into the 5-year plan. And Dale, you're probably the expert on the master plan as far as.
Not really. I mean, the land use plan is 10 years old.
Okay. So it's probably time to
It's time
think
to
about
be
something like
doing
that.
something like that. I mean, to be even, usually you do it every decade.
We discussed
Yeah.
that with the last intern about a master plan. for the township.
Yeah,
was
because
discussed with
the
that.
township doesn't really have a master plan, does it, Jeff?
Nope.
In
Well,
that
well, it
respect,
might, maybe
we have the land use plan,
The li-
which is
I-
not a master plan.
I would say the land use plan is going to supplant the master plan, and that's what it's, I think it both accomplishes the same objective, if I'm thinking straight on this. So, basically, I think that's where we start. If we would want to do this, then it has to be formalized in 5 years or in 10 years, what we would want that to look like. The second part is, obviously, we would like to do something before we're all gone, which means that what do we do? What do we do and how do we do it? One is we would want an organization of the community members, a group of people that would take a project on like this, like our zoning or our zoning appeals group. If there are people that would want to be involved in something like that, that would have the time and have the desire and motivation to see the vision, to say, I want to be part of this to help this come to fruition. If we had that piece where the brainstorming could happen and basically the 6 whys, who, what, when, where, why, and how much, they would start answering some of those questions. Now, follow on, if that works as it's designed, then they would come back to the board with some kind of a thought, a process, a recommendation, and when that recommendation would be legitimate for what we were able to do financially and what we're able to support in the township. My thought would be a 3-phased type approach. If you would go to the board of these volunteers and say, what we would like you to take a look at is perhaps 1, a walking trail. 2 would be basically a picnic pavilion. And 3 would be a soccer field. Now, it doesn't have to be, those could be 3 years, that could be spread out over 3, it could be spread out over 5, or whatever. But I think the first thing that would benefit the people in the township would be a walking trail. Now, when we talk about that walking trail, there's going to be some questions about how do we go out and we gather the experts that could help us see this happen. And what I've done is I've kind of reached out to, one is our insurance people for guidance on liability, and 2, on financial, how do we finance this? And then 3, what resources are available in the county? So I'm just going to hit those 3 for thinking purposes tonight, and then and hopefully some people that might be watching this or my fellow board members, if they have an idea or a name or an organization that we would want to involve with this, because there's a lot of synergy when you start bringing these people in, which I found out pretty quick just by making a few phone calls. So on the financial side, there's grants available. And Chief, what I was looking at today with the Butler County program, right in the first section, there's parks and playgrounds. So that's an opportunity for grant money from the county. But also Butler Rural Electric has their community assistance grant that's up to, like you're saying, up to $4,000 and some stipulations. But there's also the Ohio Native Works, which is available, a resource to us for grant money. So there's other options on the financial side which spin off into a lot of different directions. So, and it's all positive, but they just have to be explored. The second thing is on the Butler County Metro Parks. And that's an interesting opportunity because they oftentimes, they always will support as an advisory or with expertise as far as constructing trails. And I understand they have these people on staff that will actually take a piece of land and guide you into the development process and maybe surveying and do grade elevations and shooting elevations to try to give you an idea of where these trails would go and what would be the best outcome for your trail. Now, if we start thinking about a trail, you also have to preface that with a plat. And the plat really needs to come first. A trail needs to lay over your plat. So if you start thinking about phase 2 or phase 3, about a soccer field, or you start thinking about a picnic pavilion, so you don't exclude yourself from some flexibility on the overall plan. And that's what a committee would look at and study with the help of some of these outside resources of what's been done in the township, in the county, and the other townships, and what makes sense so we don't step on our foot trying to build and design this. So the Butler County Metro Parks, I just happen to be having a strategic directors meeting tomorrow, and they're going to actually talk about the opportunity, what options that they have to support this on either funding or any other type of support. So they'll let us know what they can do or what their financial situation is or what they can lend as far as a resource is concerned. But the whole point of this is to start it off and keep the discussion moving and see if really I'm kind of coveting the input, because the time is really ripe for this. When we're out talking to people, that's probably one of the first things that people talk to us about, me, I should only really speak for myself, is they've always said that, well, I wish we had something in the township that we could go to or take our family to or take the kids to and have something that's closer than Whitewater seems close, Oxford seems close. A lot of places seem close, but it's not in their own backyard, which is where it could be. So that's where I probably just want to open it up. If there's any comments, and you know, people that might be watching tonight, if there's any, just email the board any questions or thoughts. If we're doing something that seems like it's a positive or it's a negative, either way is important to hear back on. So at this point, just want to see if there's any comments by the other board members or anybody in the audience.
I'll start off. I agree that, yeah, it's definitely a thing that would be positive for the community to have a walking trail, and it does have to be a committee that brings, you know, a planning committee that puts their thoughts together and then comes to the board, the trustee board, and presents their plan, and then we, you know, act on that. But I think if we partner with other, you know, I had one person ask me, have you ever tried to partner with like Ross Locals and maybe at Morgan have like a track put in? A lot of people use the track at the high school, and just let them someplace to walk that they're not going to be, you know, have to worry about traffic and things like that. So a walking trail is probably the #1 thing, whether it be on our property or we partner with somebody else. The other thing, if we can't get the financing that we need, my thought is, you know, through the grants and things like that, is maybe, you know, put it out to the voters in a levy, in the form of a levy, and say, you know, a park levy, and see if they vote it in, obviously they want it. If they say no, then obviously they don't want it. But at least, but we need to get that first step done, the plan, and like you said, whether it's over a 3-year period, 5-year period, or whatever, but get the plan and get the dollar, you know, so we have some idea what the budget is, and then obviously our first would be look at grants, maybe some some private donations, things like that. But that's something that committee would go and do for us, and then, you know, obviously bring it to us for final approval. But those are the things I was thinking, you know, after we had this discussion 2 weeks ago, was, you know, there's going to be a lot more than just the cost of putting in the trail. You know, we got to worry about security. We got to worry about, you know, whether it be locking it up, cameras, whatever, just to make people feel safe. Because you open a park up, like Brett said, they've had predators and things like that at Hanover that we don't want to. And then, you know, then you got the liability if somebody were to walk down the trail and trip and fall. You know, is our insurance going to, you brought that up already. Or a tree limb falls, you know, as they're walking, they trip over a tree limb or something like that. So we, you know, there's maintenance involved, things like that. So, but I think it's the right thing to do, and you know, we need to first off start with forming a committee, put it out there to see if we could do that on the website, or just by talking with people and see if anybody's interested and has the energy to, you know, to at least, you know, get the ball rolling. And we can facilitate that as trustees too. We could sit in to help, you know, get the meetings started, you know, give them what our vision is, and then let them work toward it.
I know one thing that I talked to Bruce Henry, because I told you quite a bit about it. They had a park committee. There's anywhere from like 10 to 15 people on this park committee.
Too many.
Well, they opened it up to whoever wanted to, and they were volunteered, but they had to make a plan. And you have to have strategic things. Are you wanting it for kids, a target area? You have different target areas you could have. Like Hanover has a target area for small kids. That's in that front section. Well, in that front section, you don't want animals. You don't want them to be able to walk the dogs, because when you start having dogs and they do their business on the play areas where the kids are, that's unsanitary. So they did, their main target was for the kids. That was that front area where they did the pavilion. They did all the small things. Then they went and did the walking trail, and that was more of a target area for the adults, and that came later. So there's different target areas, and you'll need that information going forward for doing your grants. And it took them about 15 years or so, and they're still working on building this. They keep doing more and more as they go. But you got to have that. You've got to have the parking. You know, we open this up, and then you start getting people. We don't have the parking to facilitate that. So you need a plan of where everything goes. You talked about a soccer field. Well, you're going to need more parking, because if you start playing games or they start doing this, you might have 50 to 75 cars every time they got a game, per game. You know, and then you got people coming in as people's trying to leave. If you only got 75, you're going to have a mess. So there's a lot that goes into it, a lot of things that have to be thought about. I know Hanover pays a little over $19,000 per month to have 2 deputies. Well, that's only 80 hours out of a week. And somebody do the math for me real quick. Well, how many hours is in a week? I see Jeff's doing that. You know, they had to put cameras in. So there's a big expense there. You gotta have all that in this plan, because once you get it, you gotta sustain it. 168 hours. So basically, you've got 86 hours a week that there's no cops on. You know, that's a lot of different times, a lot of things to happen. But there's a lot of planning that's got to go. And then once you take the planning, once you get the plan, then you start facilitating the grants, you start getting this, and you put it in place. And do we meet all the zoning laws and everything else? And who knows, maybe we can get Hesselbrock to donate part of more land. She's shaking her head no, but you never know.
I mean,
But
No,
also,
considering
that
that-
puts more work on our road crew because
Considering I think
now they
this-
gotta mow this every week. They gotta pick up the trash every week.
Every day.
Considering
day,
I think
just
this
about.
is, I think this is in Three Valley Trust.
It is, it is.
It is. That's why we were able to buy the 14 acres back
Well,
then.
I'm pretty sure that was in the trust,
Well,
but you
the
may
whole-
be able to do
Not all
walking
this
trails.
is in that trust. The road frontage out here, those are still buildable lots all the way up to the far end. That's not all in Three Valley Trust. Look at your map and you'll see the
Yeah,
back
but-
part in the back is in Three Valley Trust, but this out along the road, that's still sellable lots.
Really?
Yes. Look at your,
I'll have
look
to
at
go
your
look at
map.
that map. I'll
But
have to look at local
in
maps.
Three Valley Trust, can you put walking trails in it? I think you can.
I think you
if they're
could put
gravel.
walking trail, you can't cut trees down, but, I mean, that would go against Three Valley Trust thing of, you know,
Well, it depends on how each one, because they're all different.
this is true, you'd have to look into it, but
And is it on the deed?
Well, stay focused on that. I don't think we need more land. I think we got plenty of land back there to do a decent trail.
well,
So-
you've got enough ground to do a trail, but you do not have enough ground for a soccer field.
No.
Right.
You've got enough ground to do a walking trail and do a playground.
And
There's
probably
plenty of
a
ground to do
pavilion.
that, but there is not enough ground to do a soccer field.
And possibly room
Your
for,
your daughter plays soccer, doesn't she?
Yes. And that's one of the things that my daughter and my son both played soccer, and there's not enough, well, number one, it's too rolling, there's no
Right,
flat level
right.
place. And
It-
the one place that you could do that, that's right where we land our helicopters for the fire department, so
Right.
that takes that spot away.
Well, you could still land your helicopter.
Well, you
But
could,
it's still,
but
it's very close. It's almost crowned like a football field where, I don't know if they crown soccer fields or they're perfectly flat, but,
they kind of do just like a football field that way.
but so going back to, I'm kind of encouraged when you said 23 people showed up for Hanover to support the effort. That's very encouraging to know that they had that kind of enthusiasm. Did you say 20 for the committee or how
No,
many?
it's like 15 to 17.
15 to 17.
Somewhere in there. It fluctuated.
So, talk it, think about it. Think about everything it could mean and where
Well,
you
it might be
where
a
you want
year
it
or
to
two
go.
just planning this.
Oh, definitely.
I mean,
I
it's
mean,
gonna-
starting the planning is nothing in terms of
Well-
getting the groups together, getting the people together and everything, and see what comes out of that, so that then they come back to the trustees and say, hey, this is what we've done so far. Where do we go?
So what are your thoughts on maybe partnering with Ross Local?
So when you said that before, I wasn't sure what that vision was. Explain that.
Like use Morgan Elementary, and you could put walking trails back there, or what do you want to call it?
Oh, so do
Like a
it,
track.
go in with
Running
the
track,
MRAA
yeah.
group. Go partner with the MRAA.
no, that's
Well,
totally
no,
different.
no,
that's
no.
totally separate.
It's totally
You could
separate.
maybe do something like that up there too, but I don't know if that would work or not. I'm just saying, there are other,
How
look
much
at other
land is at
options.
Morgan School? I don't even know.
Do what?
I don't either. I'd have to check.
Rob, you know?
What's that?
You know how much
Morgan
land's at
Elementary.
Morgan Elementary?
I know there's still more back behind the ball fields that they have there that's kind of wooded, but I don't know how much is back there.
Well, here's the only problem with that is that's closed off for trespassing. So if it's not a school event, you're not supposed to be on that property. So that kind of locks us out. And
Well,
it's not.
Everybody walks on the trail down
Trail-
at the high school.
Well,
I
everybody-
was gonna say,
But
the
you're
everybody
talking
walks
about
on the
you're
track
talking
at
about the
high
elementary school though?
If we could somehow partner with them and put a track, I mean, they got the parking, they got all that already. And basically at dark, they lock the track. It's got a fence around it, they lock it, put a lock on it, and it's closed. But at least it's got some place to walk that you're not walking on the street.
So where would the trail would be down at?
Whether it be a
the high
trail
school?
or just like a track, like they've got down at the high school. A lot of people walk on that track every day.
Okay.
is that a quarter mile around,
I'd-
four
I
trip?
don't know, is that a quarter mile?
Yep, four
But
times
I
around
was
the
just,
mile.
when I was talking with someone, they just threw that out there. Well, you know, you got a perfect place at Morgan Elementary. Just see if they could put a track in like they have at the high school, you know, to where they, you know,
I hate to see what that costs.
Well, that's the other thing. I
again,
thought
it's just
about,
like,
I know.
it's just
if we did,
brainstorming right now.
but if we did our own grading, if Metro Parks surveyed out and it was acceptable, a track design, you know, where it would go, what it would cross, whether it crosses a creek or whatever it crosses.
Talking about here?
Back here, I'm still back here. And I know that everybody that Rob knows, somebody is a qualified bulldozer operator that could grade in the track. And we could grade it in 2 weeks. And renting a bulldozer is probably gonna be $2,500 a week, $3,000 a week or so. We could do if we had the right guy on the dozer, we could do it in 2 weeks easily. But that means we got the right guy that
That-
can follow a survey
Yeah,
and
that
grade
seems to come more to the
requirements.
execution side of it as opposed to the planning
Well,
and the other, other two steps that you've talked about.
that was more the finance side. If we run into problems on how do we pay for this, if you hire somebody to do that work, it's going to be very expensive. If we did it ourselves, it takes a lot of that money out off the cost of that.
Yeah. I
But then
understand
you
that.
gotta
but
worry
that-
about, you get the track in, are you gonna put gravel on it? You gonna blacktop it? That's gonna be another cost. And then how do you secure it?
I would mulch it. It's got to be 60 inches wide to be ADA compliant. So that's 5 foot. If you do it with a dozer with a 6-foot blade, you've got ample room and you mulch the trail. Now,
Well, we're saying two different things. A track and a trailer is two different things.
well, it would be a walking trail, but okay.
Okay.
Jeff,
When you're
can
saying
you-
track, we're thinking like.
Oh, okay,
the fan-
I'm mixing.
You're talking a whole different.
I'm
yeah.
mixing metaphors here.
Yes.
Do you run on a mulch trail? Or do runners run on blacktop?
Blacktop is preferred. You can foot pretty easy. Done it, but
So it'd be a walking
yeah,
trail.
you
Okay,
asphalt.
okay. That's all I've got.
Have we checked with what Metro Parks' ultimate plan is for Salamander
That's what I was thinking too.
on Lehigh? And what they're gonna do there?
Last time I was up there was 3 years ago, and the gate was closed, and I didn't know what they were doing up there.
I don't know
Plus-
what their master plan is for that one. 'Cause
Plus the one day farm, which is on Lehigh, even though it's in
Ross.
on Ross
Yeah.
Township.
Yeah, they had that property before they got
Yeah,
this one.
This one.
Yeah,
right.
I didn't know what so we didn't compete against them and what their master plan was for that. That was just my other thought.
I think it just a gravel lot and lock it up, say they got it.
That's kind of where I was
They
too.
did, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, they've
they're
got
trying
more
to buy
thoughts,
the-
they've got more thoughts of the 3 parcels down here off of New London Road, just before you go on to Atherton, as to connecting it with the Hamilton County parks and Miami trails, the walking trails for Miami Whitewater. Because I do know that they have looked at there's 3 parcels there that went into Three Valley Trust just before you cross the county lines. Okay, I don't know what side of the road they're on, but they are within distance of, and their plans are to go ahead and put in a walking trail and connect it with Miami Whitewater, so that you could have the walking bicycling trail that goes, all the way through and comes into Butler County and goes back out.
Are you talking about the Hesselbrock stuff there on New Haven Road?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's gonna be a
New Haven Road, that's
defunct
right.
deal, so, because Metro Parks backed out on that. and-
Oh, they did,
and
huh?
Hesselbrock sold the somebody else who, it's all still in Three Valley Trust, but somebody
it'll-
else bought it.
So it'll remain a farm, huh?
Yeah.
Or- Okay.
Okay. All right, well, we'll think about this and talk
Okay.
more next. All right, Mr. Rucker.
All right, I received an email from Mark Fernending. He's at 5501 Jenkins Road. And he bought the property about a year ago. And on his deed, there is an easement that was dated back like February, March timeframe of 1991 for a drainage ditch for drainage purposes. I went to the county recorder, Danny Crank, and actually all I got was the actual easement. Apparently back in 1991, that property was owned by a Robert Dannenhauer, and his signature is on this. And then in August of 19, or August, wait a minute. It transferred from Robert Dannenhauer to a Jeannie Gruenschlager, and then in September of 19, it went from Jeannie Gruenschlager to Mark Fernending. So his first question was, okay, is this grant still valid, or not grant, this easement, is it still valid, or does it, drop as soon as the property changes hands? And I said, no, it does not. It stays with the property no matter who owns it. And he wanted to know what Morgan Township's responsibility was as far as maintaining this, because he said there are a lot of washout areas where it's undermining and things like that along his property. So I called Rob, because Rob seems to know everything in Morgan Township, and unfortunately, he started like a month or so right after this in 1991, so he was not aware of this transaction.
Actually, a whole year after that.
A year?
I didn't start till 92.
Okay.
So this happened in 91, a year
Okay.
before I came.
So I asked Rob if he could, do any research, and I know he got with Dale, and Dale, they couldn't find this easement.
We actually did.
Oh, did you? As of the last call I had with
Yeah.
Rob.
We found the easement from your email. That's where we found the
That's
easement.
how
Okay.
we found it.
There is,
Okay.
it's not
Not in our
Not in
records.
the records in there anywhere that I
Right.
could find.
There was
If
one
it is,
easement on
it's tucked away
Bob
in
Space
something
old
else.
property, right, that we found?
Yeah, well, you
That
found
one's
it.
the only one that actually shows up on the map, is the one that goes through Bob's Space old property. That one shows up on this Arrowhead Acres subdivision. That one shows up on here, but there's nothing really that shows
The whole easement.
the easement that,
Can I see it? The easement one?
Here, let me make a copy.
Here's the,
Let me copy that
that's
for
just the
everybody.
property
Here,
right
they can
there.
see what's going on. Okay.
See it?
so where are you looking?
I'm looking at it
Jeez.
upside down. So this is the corner lot here at Chapel and Jenkins Road. And this is the one that the Mark Fernending owned, is the 5501. Right here should be where they're talking about. And it's coming 1,000 feet from,
Yeah, 1,307 feet from the center line of Jenkins, or Chapel.
right, down, which should be just about right here. And then it should go 321 feet back this way. Now, I don't know. That's
Is
what-
that a ditch or is that piping?
No, it's a ditch.
Open ditch.
They,
And I drove by and looked at it, and it looks to me like what has happened is, since 1991, that is,
Farmers keep farming over?
no, they don't farm it, they mow the hay off of it, but they don't farm it. They just mow the hay off of it, but what has happened is erosion, dirt from across the road come over there, and it's filled that whole swale up, because it was cleaned out at one time or another, and it's silted in, is what it looks like to me, and then it's cut, now that it's silted in, it's, when it had the big heavy rains, it's cut ditches down through it that are 1 foot to 2 foot deep in places.
Is that the one right across the street where he's got the piping?
Right, they-
It sticks out with the
Yeah,
where
you could,
it goes
you can
and
see
Well,
all
swells?
the,
that one,
Yes.
there's one up here, and there's one right here at this culvert here.
right, that culvert you can see.
There's one
Cause
up
it kinda
here.
like here, and then it goes under, and it's kinda like here, and then it goes down under.
Correct. Now, this is showing that swale come out here, but if you look at this picture here, it goes straight down the property line, which is, it goes
Does-
straight
it's
down
got a
this
little
property
angle
line and
to
then
it.
goes over like this. And then on this lot here is right here, it shows this swale where it comes under right here and goes across this way.
And that goes down to the new pipe they just put under
Correct.
Chapel.
Right, literally right down to, goes to that new
Right.
pipe they just.
So
put
where
in.
does this eventually go to? This swale here? Does it end up over here, or does it just
It ends up, it actually
goes down along
towards-
Bell, down
Goes
to?
down towards Bell Road,
Okay.
down to the creek that goes down through Shandon there. That's where that part
Okay.
ends up. This one here comes this way and ends up down over behind the hill here, but this one goes the other side of the hill.
So does that mean that's our responsibility to
Yeah,
clean
that's
that?
that is a township easement. That is not a county. That is through the township trustees. That's the way it's recorded in the easement, which you've got right there.
So many feet you got? Or you don't know?
Should be 321. But we need to get the county to come out and show us exactly what it is based on what they've got wrote there. That's Don Ferris is the one that wrote that up and then filed it with the county as an easement.
Well, it's 50 feet wide?
Yes,
That's a big easement.
that's a big easement.
I knew
So it
my,
looks like you're doing a new ditch.
That's what it looks like.
So they'll come out and mark all that, and then, I guess my question would be, if you dig back so far, is it gonna be lead to out, or is it gonna be filled up back there once we're past the easement? It's just gonna make him a swamp,
I don't know.
if you see where I'm going.
Because I believe that's more than 321 feet, or that's only 100 and some odd feet, maybe 100, at the most 200. And it says it's 321.
Yeah, I don't have it.
Well, let's see. Note two, that property line, is that, did that say 231 feet?
I thought it's 231. I don't have my glasses
It
either,
says
but is that
231,
231?
doesn't
That's 231. but
So
right
that goes
here it
100
You got
feet.
321, I think, is what it says, the easement.
let me get my computer.
So it goes down,
So it goes south 321 feet, easterly 50 feet,
Oh, 321,
westerly
they
50
got it
feet
there.
to the point of beginning. So it goes back 321 feet, goes across 50 feet, comes back 321 feet.
I wonder if that's where it went before. That
Probably
little
did.
swell.
It probably did come out here before, now it went down through here. And it probably, they took it back to where it got back to this way. But if anything's gonna be done, now's the time of year to do it, because once you get springtime, that's all a swamp. There ain't no way you'll get anything done, and it has to be done this time of year, is the only way you can clean that up.
How are you gonna get them out here surveyed so you know where it is before then? All I can say is ask them, see what they can do, we can go from there.
Right.
Didn't know we had it.
I didn't know either till now.
No, we can't find the, I mean, Rob searched very heavily for the paper trail here for the
I
trustees.
found a folder in there that said deeds, and it has other easements that the trustees have got signed. So there's more than one, but I couldn't find this one in that deed file. But I did find another easement in there that's someplace else.
Is there someplace else we need to worry about too?
Not yet.
Wait till the phone
Maybe
call.
after tonight we will.
Do you want this back?
I think Rob's got it. He's got the easement.
All right, you got
Assessment.
anything else?
No, we already talked about the community center. No.
Well, the only other thing I got is, you wanna go ahead and set the trick or treat time for 4:30 to 6:30 on the 31st? You guys all good with
Is
that?
that,
You
is that
good
as
with
early as we've always done it?
Is that as early
Ju-
or
just a-
earlier?
We did it early.
There, a quick thing is, I've had a few people express some concern about it being so early. I mean,
Yeah, because people don't get off work till 5.
Saturday.
It's on
Oh, it's a
Saturday.
Saturday.
Oh, it's a Saturday.
That's why we thought we'd do it during the daylight hours.
I mean, we can go 5 to 7.
I forgot it was Saturday, because I was like.
The reason we
people
did it
don't-
on Saturday, it gets them off the road, and then if they wanna go somewhere else, they can. And that way they're not in the dark.
Saturday.
How many people did you have?
I had 4 people, to
Yeah, I've
be
had
exact,
people.
4 people.
I've had people contact me just when it is and if we're allowing it, but not a time, not an issue at the time.
City of Oxford's doing 5:30 to 7:30. FYI.
Well, I know usually once it gets dark down there, we've left early almost every time,
And
cause they quit. What do you guys think? You
Yeah,
wanna do
it'll-
5
it'll
to
be
7?
dark by- It'll be dark by 6.
it's getting dark here early now and the time hasn't changed yet. Is there a time change before now?
No, not till November
It's not
1st.
after, okay.
The day after.
I thought that was, Halloween was time change, full moon, the whole
That's
thing.
usually Sunday.
I know, usually they go 6 to 8, but
Well,
I
yeah,
like-
last year, we had a lot of young kids, so the younger kids are gonna trick or treat early in the daylight.
and most of the older kids go down to Black Road where they can
Yeah.
just go door to door
Yeah.
and rack it up.
So the church, the Methodist Church is on board for 4:30 to 6:30. That's what they're planning on doing, so.
Keep it at that.
I think that's,
I didn't realize it was Saturday, so that's fine. That'll be fine.
You wanna keep it at that? You guys good with
That's
that?
fine.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. I'll put it on the website.
All right, I'm good with that. I don't know, do we need a resolution for that? I don't think we do we? All I can say is, do your social distancing and the mask, be safe. I'll be there to help you guys.
The fire department, I know you weren't here last meeting, but we did talk about, is there gonna be an issue? And AC said he didn't think so, but, you know, you got a shift
Shift
change at
change.
6 o'clock. Is that gonna be a problem?
Let's just see what that shift is. It shouldn't. It,
I have a wedding that night, so I will not be around.
we'll be there. We'll be there.
I'll be
We'll
there.
We'll be there. Let's see, just curiosity, what.
Yeah,
that
'cause
shift
last
is.
year, I think you had to leave, I stayed there, so.
Oh, that shift, they'll be fine.
Okay.
That's Schroyer, Buddy, and Jason Cook. They work at 24 that day anyway, so
Alright.
that's fine. Yep.
Alrighty, so we'll do trick or treating from 4:30 to 6:30.
Okay.
Please be safe. Alright, so, let me get what she had. I'll make a motion at 9:03 to go to executive session for personnel matters to consider the appointment and employment of a public employee or official.
Second.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
We are adjourned to executive session.
Alright, put our mask back on before we get up and move around. I'll make a motion at 10:01 to come out of executive session.
Second.
Mr. Updike?
Yes?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
We are back in session.
All right, there was some discussion there. We'll probably have that at the next meeting to know the final of what our discussion was. It'll come out of that. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes?
We are adjourned.